What's up, guys? Welcome back. Today we're going to be getting into something that I've been wanting to do for a while. We're going to start down a rabbit hole. I'm going to go into aerodynamics.
Oh my God.
Just going to bolt on some Honda Civic wing on the back of my Chevelle here. I want to do something that involves science and numbers and data testing, and I want to get some informed results to make responsible changes. So to do that, I'm going to try to use the Holley EFI software that's already installed in the vehicle. I'm going to use an input and have a sensor feed in ride height. And to send that data, I think this is a Ride Tech generic air ride sensor. So I'm going to accomplish this by taking measurements while I drive. I'm going to get some data and figure out where the car likes to sit with no aerodynamics on it. And then I'm going to start doing some testing and trying different things and see how much it loads the car down and adds more downforce to the front. And then I can get a sensor and install it on the rear and do the same thing in the back. You may notice I'm already trying to dabble with some things. That's for a later video. But let's get this sensor installed, get it wired, and then see what Holley likes to see from that sensor so we can make use of the Greek that it's feeding it. Join me. So I decided to mount it here to be out of the way of the tire. And I still have about an inch of gap before it would hit this. It gives me a good spot to make a little wraparound bracket right here on the control arm and pull 90 off of that so I can mount this little guy. I removed the piece that came with this. It was like 10 inches long or something, and I went to Menards, and it's 10/32 thread, so I got a 3-inch threaded rod and put some more jam nuts on there so I can still adjust on this a little bit. The point of this is I want, when this is full suspension droop like it is, I want this just above being bottomed out, so right about there-ish, and hopefully I can adjust it so that when I get all the way up to the top, which I doubt I'm going to have that much travel on a Chevelle, but you never know. Hopefully when I get all the way to the top, I'm in the middle of the usable range of this. I mean, I'm going to tailor it to my specifications, obviously, but I just want to make sure I got some good travel out of it. So I can get some adjustment on here. So let's go make the bracket. So this came with this rubber coated threaded rod deal that made this way too long. So I just got a threaded rod and put on there. Now it's shorter. Wiring did not come with a harness, or a pigtail rather, but if you look, it is the same plug as we can get on an LS harness. I think this is the cam sensor. Same plug, fits right in there. So you can just nip one of those off at the junkyard. Okay, well I got this mocked up in here. Just drilled some holes, put some rib nuts in the frame. My wiring harness going out that way. I just ended up using a hose clamp and a brake clamp that I squished in the vise, and then I put a screw and a nut, and then this has got a little heim joint with a swivel guy in here, so I just put a nut on either side of that. I can adjust it, if it starts binding or whatever, and I can clock this way to get me in the throw there. I think I'm doing pretty good where I'm at full droop. I'm going to put the tire back on here, see how close we are, and then I'm going to jack up under the lower control arm to compress the suspension and see how it cycles. In fact, I might do that the other way. I might compress it and then put the tire on. Alright. There's not much compression I can do with the jack. Obviously, just the weight of the car on the springs isn't doing a whole lot, but I'll let the jack down. You can see the range of motion a little bit. It moved a little bit. Probably won't have a lot of movement, but that'll be for me to play with when I figure out the ranges here. Now let's get the tire on and see that clearance. This is with the tire on. I'm at full lock, and I mean, I've got probably, what's that, 3 or 4 fingers worth around here, so nothing in that. And this assembly is going to bind, so that's good. Now we'll drop the car back down and we'll get into the wiring. At this point I just ran the wiring up here, and this is kind of temporary for me. Just snuck along back here, and I'll find a way to get through the firewall, and we're going to attach it to Holley. Alright, let's do some programming here. We're going to go and set up the sensor in Holley. So basically we want to make an input. Go to the I/O tab, inputs. Boom. So I'm on A13. That's just the available one that I had. It's the black and white with the black stripe. It's going to be a 5-volt sensor. I just put front travel on it. Then we can configure it. When you configure it, I just use the 5-volt for now. Once I start wanting to make changes, that I know where my max and minimum is, then I can kind of play with that in here, which we'll have to do some measuring things. Now, just because you got that doesn't mean it's ready. You got to take this over. This is going to be sitting up here because it's unassigned. And you drop that down into here for A13. That's the one white with the black stripe. So then you save and send it to the computer, the ECM rather. I already did that, so it shows okay. Alright, close that. Yes, save changes. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is set this up on the dash. You guys don't have a mouse. I probably said this in one of my videos before. You don't have a little tiny mouse. This stays in my glove box. Well, center console also has a nice little mouse pad right there. And what this allows me to do, I plug the little receiver thing into the USB port that comes out of that cable back there, and then I can do things on the fly. If I need to make changes or something, it's just a whole lot easier than trying to mash my big old fingers in there. So we're going to add a gauge here. We're going to add gauge, I/O inputs, front travel. That's what I want. And I want a digital. So now we're just going to move that over here. Yeah, let's put it up here. Whatever. Super scientific. Doesn't really matter for the purposes of what we're doing. Alright. Now we're going to save it. And I'm at 2. And jumping up and down doesn't do a whole lot. Alright, well, let's go get the car in the air and let me cycle it. And then we'll watch it move. Alright, so I set the sensitivity, the sample rate to once a second instead of 6 per second. And I made it so it reads 3 decimal points in both the software and in the dash here. So just me bouncing around in here. I mean, it moves around a little bit. Probably take off the 3rd digit there on the decimal, but that gives me a pretty good idea for where we're sitting at. This is going to allow me to make educated decisions on the aero projects that I have in the future. So hopefully this helps somebody. I've been talking about doing this for a while. Finally got off my butt and did it. And we'll go test it out and do some measurements and figure out where I can put my devices and cover that in the next video. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.